Hello, everybody. I am super excited today because I am chatting with Josh Pather from the Photo Booth International, and I have a love for photo booths myself because I have them in my business. So I'm super excited to chat with him so you guys can learn more about photo booths and possibly into implementing them in your business. So Josh, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Photo Booth International.
Cool. Well, hello everybody. This is Josh Pather here. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to diving deep with you in this industry. So yeah, I started off in the industry in 2012. I was actually working a corporate job at Experian, the credit bureau, and I had a employee stock purchase plan and health benefits and PTO, and life was good. You know, you got to get the corporate bug and sitting in a nice office, and hey, everything's good. You know.
Yeah.
And then one day they come in. And they're like, hey, we're moving this whole office to Costa Rica. And
Oh, no.
kind of shattered all my plans. At that time I was DJing weddings. And so I had, it was a side business for me. And I was like, cool, I'll keep my job. Like it was like Monday through Friday, and I could work, weddings on the weekends, and make a decent living like that. And yeah, then they come in one day and they're like, hey, we're moving it overseas. So about a month before this happened, I was at a wedding and I saw a photo booth there. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. I never seen this before. It was just starting to get super popular at that point. And I was like, okay, the attendant is there, not doing too much. And I'm getting like crushed with song requests and first dance and money dance and father-daughter dance and mother-son dance. And it's like so much of preparation, and like loading all the equipment and unloading, like the last ones to leave the event, you're the first ones to get there because you got to set up.
Yep.
And so, yeah, we started looking into photo booths, and we ended up building our first photo booth out of 3/4-inch plywood. And yeah, it was super heavy. I don't know why we went like so thick on the wood, and it stood on a tripod stand. So we used the inkjet printer that took a minute and a half to print pictures.
Okay.
And we had an old computer monitor there. It wasn't a touchscreen, and we had a keyboard and a webcam that I had like laying around, and we're using Spark Booth at the time. And that was our first photo booth. We started posting ads on Craigslist, and pretty much Craigslist was the only thing that existed back then. I mean, outside of like Google Ads and stuff like that. So I ended up posting ads, and it started like gaining traction. We started doing events, and eventually it kind of took over the DJ side of things. The photo booths were more, we're getting more bookings for that. And I was like, oh, I'm making pretty good money here, and it's a lot less work. So yeah, I started doing that. First year, we ended up doing like 150K, and we're like, whoa.
Yeah.
My job was moved overseas, and I ended up taking a severance package at that point. And so about 6 months in after starting the photo booth business, I was pretty much doing it full time. This was 2013. And yeah, so we started like growing a lot, started getting more bookings, and like it was just going super well. And then people started asking us like, hey, where could we, buy a photo booth from? So this is like coming into around 2015. 2015, we did 800 events in one year, which was like super crazy. I was like working like 7 days a week. We were like, any given weekend, we had 10 or 15 photo booths going out. And we didn't have all the cool apps that we have now. Like it was like DocuSign, PayPal, Google Docs, PDFs, like so many different systems. And luckily my wife, she was like handling all that stuff, and I was like doing more of the logistics and the tech and the marketing. And yeah, so 2015, people started asking us like, hey, where could they buy a photo booth from? And so we created a company called Photo Booth International, where people can come and purchase a photo booth and get all the resources that they need to be successful and not make the same mistakes that we did, whenever we were
Yep.
growing our company.
Awesome.
So that kind of brought us here today. And now I've ended up selling the photo booth rental business, and now I just focus on, teaching and helping people start their business.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, no, that is, I love, the one thing I love about the photo booth businesses is because it can be standalone. So you could just be, you could be like, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur and get into the some type of business, right? And anybody can get into the photo booth business, or you can be in maybe the wedding industry already and you're looking to add some additional revenue or an additional income stream to your business, right? And so photo booths are a great way to be able to do that. And so many different entrepreneurs can do that. So, so you could be, a photographer or a videographer or a DJ or, a wedding planner, there's so many options for people to be able to add the photo booths, which is what I love about it. And it doesn't, and you can hire the attendants to take care of the photo booth the day of and things like that. So you're not having to be as hands-on as what maybe your other services are. So you can definitely grow it and build it out to whatever you want it to be, which is one of the reasons why, like, they're just amazing to add to your business. So I love that. So if somebody was wanting to get into the photo booth business, what do you kind of share with them? What's kind of some tips or things like that you share with them?
Getting started, feel like make sure they get comfortable with video. And the reason I say that is because so many people are shy and they don't want to get on camera, and everybody just like they go to the events and they take their phone vertically and they start at the props table and they do this little video here and then they go up to the photo booth. And if you go pay attention, you'll see everybody doing the same thing. So if you want to be successful, you have to do the stuff that people are not willing to do. And what that means is, hey, if you got your photo booth, you make a video with your photo booth saying, hey, this is Josh here. I just got this awesome photo booth. I'm going to be serving the Detroit area. These are the awesome features of it. If you give me a call, I'm going to be at your event. I'm going to take care of your guests. I'm going to make sure that everybody gets a photo. I'm going to make sure that, the pictures come out great and that, you're able to, all your guests, just have an amazing time. I think a lot of people are not doing that. They get a photo booth and they just expect to make money. You do have to put in some work, learn the software, but make videos because people buy visually. It's nowadays photo booths, they have a lot of LED lights. They look cool. They're cooler than whenever I started. And you really got to, get that message across because, when brides are searching, they may be looking at, other competition and how are you going to stand out different from them. I did a series last year where I took one of our customers from 0 to 100,000 in 10 months. And he's never had a business before. This is his first time. It's on YouTube called Photo Booth Boss. And one of the main reasons that he was able to be so successful is because when he gets an inquiry, he actually sends them a video of him using the photo booth. He introduces himself and then he shows the photo booth that they're going to get at the wedding, not some generic stock photo that everybody's using on everybody's website, right? We all know that those pictures that everybody's using. So as soon as he gets an inquiry, he sends in that video. And then he'll wait for them to watch it and then, oh, got a kitty. There's
a windowsill here that he really loves. So
so yeah, he sends a video. So instantly the bride knows this guy is going to show up. I know who's showing up. I know what photo booth they're bringing. I know exactly what it looks like. I know,
Yeah.
uh, he seems like a trustworthy guy. He carries himself professionally. He's wearing a polo with his logo on there. Those
Mhm.
little things kind of matter. Versus you going to the brides going to another website, generic stock photos. They have their three packages, right?
Mhm.
Gold,
Yep.
deluxe, platinum,
Yep.
and then call to book or whatever the case is, and then you just don't know what photo booth you're going to get and what who's going to show up, right?
Yep.
And I try to like kind of tell people like, um, I've recently built a house, and some contractors we work with, we don't know when they're going to show up, who's going to show up, what time they're going to show up,
Mhm.
and it's like such a
Yep.
miserable process. And then
Yep.
there's some companies that say, hey, here's a picture of Trevor, and this is what he looks like, and he's going to be coming at this time.
Mhm.
So it's giving that extra experience to make you successful.
Yeah.
And I feel that if you just do that alone, that will set you apart, you know. Because
Yep. Love it.
if that would be one of the main tips that I would like to say is getting better on video and promoting yourself through videos.
Love that. Yeah, because that's one of the things that I help coach on and teach is to create that wow experience, set yourself apart. How are you going to be different? And I love that because the photo booth part is kind of their entertainment for, at the reception. They're looking for somebody to kind of be fun and, outgoing, different, and just kind of set apart at the reception. And so by doing that, that definitely makes you stand out. And the one thing that about photo booths too is what I found is that they're looking for that person to really stand out and wow them for that, on who they're going to go with. So if you
Hmm.
have a really great experience, you have whatever you're offering, if it's that wow, giving them that warm and fuzzies, they're probably going to go with you because a lot of the photo booth, people aren't doing that, and it's not as a yeah, it's still a higher ticket purchase for their wedding, but it's not like photography or videography, and they're not having to like vet you as much, I guess, except they just want to know that, hey, you're going to show up, you're going to do your job, and you're going to do a
Hmm.
great job for them. And so that's where you can really snag a lot of that business by just setting
Yeah.
yourself apart, which is great. So how many photo booths do you offer? You offer quite a few, right?
Yeah, I think every like month we seem to be coming out with a different variation. Maybe around 15,
Oh,
you
geez.
know.
Okay.
Uh
Okay.
yeah.
So if somebody, so when somebody comes to you and they're brand new,
Hmm.
what type of photo booth do you recommend they start with? Because I know a lot of times people might have 2 or 3 different photo booths, in their lineup as they grow and expand. But if somebody getting into it, they probably want to just start with one. What's kind of your signature photo booth, or the one that you recommend that people start with right now?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to make sure they can transport it. So that's usually our
Okay.
first question that we
Yep.
ask.
Yep.
Like, will you be able to, do you have a vehicle? Do you have a truck? Do you have a trailer? What's your setup like? Do you have help? So we'll start off with that. And then depending on what they say, most people right now, our most popular one would be our Miami booth, which is, a mirror photo booth. And, people just, they like the mirror. They like to see their outfits. It reminds them
Mhm.
of the mirror that they have in their room, the tall mirror you have in the corner standing up, the one from
Yep.
IKEA. I've gotten mine from like 7 years now.
Yeah.
You can't
Yep.
get rid of that one.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Awesome. And then you do have ones though that can just fit in a car too, right? Like they
yeah,
could
yeah,
just, so you don't have to, so I just want to mention that you don't have to have a truck or trailer or anything like that. You can just,
exactly.
there are a bunch of different options. And the photo booths that we actually have, yeah, they break down and just fit into a vehicle, a regular
Yeah.
car.
Hmm.
And so, just depending on what it is that you offer. And I always recommend doing a little market research to see what's, in your industry, or in your market where you're at, what type of boost your competition have, and you can kind of, see about setting yourself apart maybe with the photo booth that you are going to offer as well. because photo booths have been around for a few years now. So some people have, like an older model of something. So you might be able to get a photo booth that's, a little bit more advanced or whatever, and that can help set you apart kind of in the, in the initial stages as well, because the mirror ones I think have been around, is it 3 or 4 years now? They're a little newer. I think it was before.
Yeah, I mean, there was like a
we did all that.
revolution, from when it came in to now it's like LED and more
Mhm.
lightweight and portable. So it's always evolving. But the main thing for us, the driving factor is like portability, like
Yeah.
when we're go to the drawing board, try to make a new photo booth or redesign something, it's like, how can we make this smaller, more lightweight, so that people can still have the mirror effect, but not have the weight that's associated with it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What, okay, so let's talk about like some pricing and some, that piece of it, because people go, okay, so I want to start a business. Now, how much is this going to cost me? Right? That's kind of their next lead in. And so I want to tell a quick story on my business and what I did. So when I had just started my wedding business, and we were doing photography and invitations and videography, at the time, and I started getting people, and this was back about 10 years ago, and I was starting to get people that were saying, hey, do you do photo booths as well? And I was like, and one of the things that I have learned is that if you tell somebody no, then they automatically think you can't help them with anything else, right? So they kind of shut you off kind of thing, and they're like, oh, well, she said no, and so then they just think they're not going to ask you, about anything else. So I've always been in my sales and marketing background. I've always been like, okay, if I'm getting asked something, then I need to explore that option and see if it's something that I can say yes to. Because if I can say yes, they're going to be like, hey, well, then maybe you can help me with this too, or you can help, you know what I mean? They're just going to trust you and be, the hardest part is getting that initial connection and that initial sale. And then once you get that, it's easy for them to say yes to you on other things, right? And you can increase your revenue. So I was getting several people asking me about photo booths, and finally I was like, yes, I do have a photo booth, right? Because what I realized is that if I'm getting this many inquiries for a photo booth, then I need to be having a photo booth in my business. And so I then went out, did some research, figured out kind of what photo booth I might purchase, and then I went and I started selling that photo booth. And what I then did is after, I think I sold about 8 or 10 of them first, and then I purchased my photo booth. So I had the income coming in the door to purchase it, because with the weddings, they're about 12 months out, right? So I was able to have plenty of time to then purchase it and get it in time, play with it, all that stuff, and figure it all out. And that was oh gosh, maybe 10 years ago now. So things have really come a lot further with the photo booth, and there's a lot more options with the photo booth. So back then it was kind of like a photo booth was a photo booth, right? There wasn't as many options. So I'm not saying that's the right fit for everybody, because I already had my business kind of started, so I could use it as an add-on. But just know that you can kind of think outside the box and maybe have some revenue coming in the door first, if it, to know that it's sellable. And you can kind of throw it out there as a teaser, maybe talk to some of your current clients and see if it's something they want to add on. So you can kind of do some things that way from a strategy standpoint, if you have a business already. But so I just like to throw that story out there, because it's kind of a unique way to try to, get into another line of the business without having to totally front all of the money, because obviously they put a deposit down. So then I use that money to purchase the photo booth and that type of thing. So, but tell us kind of how the pricing works, what is kind of and I know you have financing and things like that people can do. So it makes it really affordable. So just share a little more on that.
Yeah. So, the pricing starts off at around 5,000. We have the Chloe photo booth there. That's one of the photo booths actually designed during COVID. It's a lightweight portable mirror photo booth. It does use a webcam. So it's more of an entry-level photo booth, although we have a ton of people, successfully using it. But if you were to take a webcam to a photographer, they're like, no,
Yeah.
So But you know, it's a starting point for a lot of people.
Hmm.
Up from that, we have the black tie, the prime photo booth, and we have a white tie. Those ones use DSLR cameras with Surface Pros. And those ones range about 9,000, 8,000, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And then up from there, you have the mirror photo booths that go up from 9,000 to 13,000. These are the Mirror 4s, the Miami and the Astro and the Mirror 2 photo booths. And all of the photo booths have really awesome features. We use darkroom booth
Hmm.
software.
Yeah.
They're located here in Dallas. They're a massive company and they really got great support and great people working there. We have a really good relationship with them. Um, so, you know, it's really just going to come down to what type of look and style that you want to deliver. You know, you want a
Hmm.
tall, sleek mirror? Do you want something that's portable, lightweight, you know, with LED lights? So yeah, and someone can expect to, you know, most people spend about $10,000 with us, you know,
Okay.
on average, depending on what type of mirror they want. We do have the financing options, but really try and make sure that, you know, it's a good fit for you, that you're comfortable with it and it's something you like. We had a couple drive in from Houston the other day, and you know, she came and she was set on the Chloe photo booth and she got there and then she saw the white tie photo booth and she was like, oh no, I want this one, you know, and she was like, I'm glad, you know, I came in. So it's going to be what you like and something that you need to get something that you're going to be proud of, you know, and you got the
Hmm.
backing with the support. You got an awesome Facebook group there that you're going to get access to, you know, global app. Um, so that's kind of the range that, you know, the photo booths I have.
And people can, and with the financing, I think I just see on your website, I mean, it's pretty affordable. I mean, it looks like around 250, 400 monthly payments kind of thing. So it's
Exactly.
definitely affordable. And for the um, events, a lot of times, you know, it depends, it's going to depend on your market, obviously, on what you can charge. But um, what do you say is the average kind of amount somebody makes kind of from a photo booth, just an average or a range? What would you say is?
Yeah, I would say 250 to 350 around that. You know, obviously it's going to
Okay.
vary from New York City to El Paso, Texas,
Hmm.
you know.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Uh, love it. Yeah. No, I was super,
That's
like
an
I said,
hour. I don't know if I mentioned that. 250,
oh, okay.
350 an hour.
250 to 350
Yeah.
an hour. Okay, cool. Yep.
Yeah.
And
Sorry.
so, yeah, so for a wedding event, I would say, you know, it's usually, again, depending on your area, you know, 800 to 1,000 to more, you know, I've
Yeah.
seen photo booths up to 1,500 before. And again, it's going to depend on the technology, you know, which booth you do, the experience you're providing,
Yeah.
all of that type of stuff. So, and a lot of that, um, you know, so on one event, you would pay your, you know, if you had to finance it, you would pay that, you know, your financing, you
Exactly.
know,
Mhm.
amount, and you'd still have quite a bit of profit. And that's the thing with the photo booth is once you invest in the photo booth itself, the expenses that go along with it for each event are pretty minimal. I mean, you're going to have, if you're printing the strips, you have kind of your ink and paper. You have props, you know, that you kind of have to
Mhm.
refresh, things like that. They go missing sometimes, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Excuse me. And then you have your attendant if you're not doing the event, you know, so the cost, if you're going to outsource and have somebody else do the event for you. Usually in the beginning, you're going to do all the events yourself because you want to understand how things are working and all of, you know, if there's any tech, you know, things you want to understand, all of that stuff. So that's the fun thing I love about photo booths too, is that um, there's not a lot of overhead or a lot of expenses that go along with it once you purchase the photo booth. And then it's just all kind of income, you know, right
Mhm.
in the door, which is great. So obviously you can tell I love photo booths. So um, is there anything else that you want to share that I didn't bring up? Anything else that would be helpful, or just that we didn't talk about?
No, I think you covered it, you know, just look at expanding your business. I love the way that you did, you know, you added the photo booth onto yours. I did a similar strategy whenever people were asking us for uplights. I know we did we had a company do like a grand opening, and they're like, "Oh, do you provide uplights?" We're like, "Yeah, sure, we do." You know, and those things like we rented them out for like $25 a uplight, and they costed us like 50 or $60 to buy the uplight one time. You know, so
Yeah.
like 2 events that was paid off, and then it's just profit after that. You know, and it's an
Yeah.
easy upsell. Confetti cannons is another
Mhm.
one that was, to push up a button, $400. Like, okay, that's all I got to
Yep.
do. Bring it and load it up.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a lot of money to be made in this industry. Make it easy for your guests to book you and offer like a one-stop shop. Uh,
Mhm.
and yeah, if you're looking for a photo booth, love to assist you with that. We the best at what we do, and we provide a lot of training and support that goes on to it. And yeah, you can look us up on YouTube, and we have a lot of training videos on there too. Um, and I like the point that you made about the low expenses. I actually had a customer ask me about that the other day. Like, Josh, what is all the expenses that are involved with insurance? It's about $50 or $60 a month.
Mhm.
There's a cool app called Thimble that you can get insurance like in 5 minutes. You don't have to go
Mhm.
see anybody nowadays.
Yep.
Business is so easy, right? Like when I started, we had to like go to the bank and set an appointment with the banker, and the banker
Yeah.
has never opened a business before, and they didn't know what paperwork we needed. And I'm like, dude, we have
Yep.
our EIN, we have our LLC set up. Like, no, you need something else. I'm like, this is all you need. Nowadays you can open a bank account online.
Yeah.
You can set up your website. You have one app to run your whole business. Uh,
Mhm.
so yeah, it's a great time to get started and get going.
And the other thing I really like that you offer is that you have all the different options for the photo booths, right? So
Mhm.
so no matter kind of what they're looking for, you kind of have the option for that. And then you have the financing piece. So if they can't, afford it right off the bat, they can finance it. And then, yeah, you help them kind of with the support and things like that. So you're not just like, hey, you bought a photo booth, now I'm Audi 5 kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're like there to support them and help them, so that they can be successful in that. And you even have a CRM system that I think is that you can add on so that you support them with. So you kind of taken it to the next level, which is what I really like, because when somebody's getting into the photo booth business or a business in general, there's a lot of kind of there's a learning curve, right? And so
Mhm.
having that support to be able to go and be like, hey, and just bounce a question off of that kind of thing is great. And I remember when I purchased my photo booth, there wasn't a whole lot of support. And I remember I turned it on for the first time, and I think I paid $7,500 for my
Yeah.
photo booth back 10 years ago, which was, a lot of money, and so I was like, and I turned it on for the first time. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Like, and I
Yeah.
messed up the settings right out of the bat. And I was like, oh gosh, like this is, so, I love that. Yeah. You offer that support because, and all your videos and things like that, because it's actually not hard. There's just some nuances with the software, just things you have to know. And so having you kind of in their back pocket to bounce questions off of and all of that good stuff is just amazing. So yeah,
Mhm.
awesome. Well, if I just want to thank you for jumping on and chatting with me. And yeah, if anybody is looking for a photo booth, I highly recommend Josh and his team over at the Photo Booth International. And if you have questions on photo booths that, from the business side and things like that, obviously I've got those in my business and can definitely help direct you, on different ideas and things like that as well. So thank you so much for chatting with me.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, no problem. All right. We will see
Okay.
you guys later. All right. Thanks.
All right. Bye.